This is Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Our BD448 family, welcome to another wonderful, edutaining, infotaining edition of the Artivist Thinks Provocateur number 1. I'm your host for the empowerment segment, Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2, the Artivist. Now, this is a segment that I'm going to entitle, What Would Malcolm Do? As in Malcolm X. We just got through observing on May 19th, the 94th anniversary or Life Affirmation Day celebration of Brother Malcolm X. He made his earthly plane debut May 19th, 1925, in all places, Omaha, Nebraska. The man who will become known as one of the greatest icons of black liberation and empowerment. Nebraska is a very fascinating place. I believe it's one of the vortexes, like the Mississippi Delta. A lot of great black folks and people in general come from Nebraska. A lot of iconic people, like not only just Brother Malcolm X, but also I believe Oscar Micheaux, the pioneering black film visionary, is from Nebraska. You got, I believe, Bob Gibson, arguably one of the, if not the greatest baseball pitcher, but one of the greatest baseball pitchers of all time, is from Nebraska. Even Johnny Carson, Henry Fonda, Marlon Brando, arguably the greatest actor of all time. They all come from Nebraska. Now, this thing, you got Warren Buffett, the Wizard of Omaha, who's in Nebraska. And also, you had a significant event happen in Nebraska. Red Summer race massacre that took place in the nation 100 years ago, where you had one of the most, basically an event lynching, the lynching of Willie Brown. Look up Willie Brown lynching. Omaha, Nebraska, 1919. Now, we're talking about Brother Malcolm X. Brother Malcolm X was born, of course, 94 years ago this year. He died, unfortunately, at the age of 39. That's a couple months before his 40th birthday. Now, 39 is an interesting number for black revolutionaries. You know, also Dr. King died at 39. And also we had black music pioneer and World War I hero, James Reese Europe, who also died at 39. Both James Reese Europe and Malcolm X, and I guess Dr. King, we all said and done, they were assassinated. They all died with black folks' blood on their hands. You know, black folks were all involved in the assassinations of James Reese Europe, Malcolm X, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Not saying they were masterminds, but they had a hand, like, you know, at the Audubon. Malcolm was killed before his family. The alleged gunmen were black Muslims from, I believe, Temple 25 in Jersey. Also, people said that Minister Farrakhan was at Temple 25 that day as well. And it'll be interesting to hear from the minister if that is indeed true, that he was at the Mosque 25 in Newark, New Jersey. Also, you know, Minister Farrakhan took over for Brother Malcolm at Temple number 7. They ain't call him mosque, but they call him Temple. Temple number 7, you know, up in Harlem, the famous temple that Malcolm made famous. Malcolm was the leader of that Temple number 7 until he was excommunicated from the nation, allegedly over the Kennedy assassination remarks, which were taken out of context, and there was some other nefarious things involved in that as well. Now, I like Minister Farrakhan, to be honest with you. I think he's done a lot of good works for the community. But at the same time, it's like he's hard to interview because he tends to take over the platform. He doesn't allow for people to ask questions. I like his answers, but they're very long and involved. He's long-winded. There's no mistake about it. But I think that's like a crafty way of not always answering directly the way he answers questions. Now, I deal with long-winded people in my sojourn, people like Baba Dick Gregory. It was no surprise to me that Minister did the eulogy. I think he did a great job in eulogizing Baba D. Gregory when the time came. And a lot of times people don't understand these relationships these people have, because I know I've been trying for four almost going on 5 years trying to meet with Mr. Farrakhan. This is, I don't mind taking a picture with him. Also, I got a Lifetime Achievement Award I want to give him. It's funny because I go to different places. The brothers all know who I am in the Fruit of Islam, but they don't give me access to the minister just for the photo op or just to give him an award. I'm not afraid to stand with Farrakhan or to acknowledge the man has done some great things or good things for the community. Now, there's pros to cons to everything. I mean, I heard the critique of Dr. John Henry Clark, the late great historian, one of our master griots, gave a critique of Farrakhan post Million Man March 1995. The brother had no fear. Dr. John Henry Clark, who's also an associate of Brother Malcolm X. As we all know, Brother Malcolm X taught and developed Minister Louis Farrakhan. Yes, Brother Malcolm X taught and developed Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He also taught and developed Brother Muhammad Ali, the Honorable Brother Muhammad Ali. Of course, Malcolm X was a representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but he also helped amplify the Nation of Islam message throughout the whole country. Malcolm, you cannot get around. The Nation of Islam cannot avoid the powerful legacy of Brother Malcolm X. People trying to minimalize or marginalize Brother Malcolm, but he's too much big of an icon, of a legend. He is bulletproof in death. They try to destroy Brother Malcolm's legacy while he's, in the grave. His mortal remains, but he's an immortal. You can't destroy Brother Malcolm's legacy. It's too powerful. As time marches on, it only grows stronger. Now, with that said, we recently heard of the banning of the Minister Louis Farrakhan from so-called social media. And I think it's really a fool's errand, to be honest with you. The man's influence has already been amplified. He's been doing his God work for 60 plus years. He's been around longer than the social media. So they can't really get rid of or scrub Minister Farrakhan influence off the net. That's ridiculous. They can't do it. You're going to ban everybody who ever posted a video clipping or anything in reference of Minister Farrakhan? No, that undermines the purpose of social media, to communicate and to connect. But it's a fool's errand to think that he's been so-called quote-unquote banned when his message is still getting out there. All they did was amplify more attention to Minister Farrakhan and his message. Now, with that said, I like to think, history, like to paraphrase the author William Faulkner, the past has never passed. I thought on the day of Malcolm's birthday anniversary, I was just thinking about Malcolm, meditating on Malcolm among other things all day on Sunday. And I was thinking, what would Malcolm do if he was banned from so-called social media? What would Malcolm do if he was banned from so-called social media? And I thought about it. You got to think about Brother Malcolm understood the power of the media. To paraphrase Brother Malcolm, he said, media is the most powerful entity on the planet because it influences and controls the minds of the masses. Once again, to paraphrase Brother Malcolm, he said that media is the most powerful entity on earth because it controls and influences the minds of the masses. One of the first things Brother Malcolm did when he, got out of prison, joined the Nation of Islam, is to create a media platform for the Nation of Islam. Before he was well known, before the nation became well known or infamous or whatever, with Mike Wallace's documentary, The Hate That Hate Produced, Brother Malcolm was busy spreading the gospel of Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam by, creating a newspaper platform called Muhammad Speaks. So Muhammad Speaks, when Brother Malcolm understood, all our greatest black leaders, you know who the great black leaders are among us, are the ones who create their own media platforms. They understand the power of having their own media platform, whether it be the Freedom Journal, whether it be David Walker's Appeal, Frederick Douglass North Star, Ida B. Wells' Free Speech and Headlight, Thomas T. Fortune's New York Age, Marcus Garvey's Negro World. The list goes on and on. You get the point. William Monroe Trotter, The Guardian. They all knew Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois. Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, who was the editor of the Crisis magazine at the NAACP. All our greatest black leaders understood the value of having your own platform to disseminate your message. So if you call yourself a so-called black leader and you got no type of media platform or apparatus that you use to communicate and disseminate your information, then you're not a real black leader. That's one of the least things one can do to be an effective leader, is to have a media platform or a way to communicate your ideas and message to your targeted audience. So, even the Black Panther Party had their paper, okay? So, they're the children of Malcolm. Philosophy-wise and ideology-wise, the Black Panther Party are the children of Malcolm, or were the children of Malcolm. So, with that said, Malcolm, if he got banned for social media, I think one thing he would teach is that you shouldn't be so dependent on your enemy's tools to get out your message. And one thing that he would teach, go to one of his most important speeches, November 10th, 1963, up in Detroit, Michigan. Message to the grassroots. A message to the grassroots, one of the greatest speeches in American history, because Malcolm tells you the importance of joining an organization locally that address your needs or that speaks to you. No matter what your religion affiliation or political affiliation is, join an organization that's doing things for your community on the ground level, at the grassroots level. So Malcolm would definitely organize locally at the grassroots to form an apparatus, to form an organization, the apparatus and organization to get the word out about his philosophies, about his ideas, about his point of view. Malcolm was a master organizer. That's one of the things. Malcolm was not only a great orator, but also he's a master organizer. He basically amplified and grew the Nation of Islam. This guy would literally drive across country, opening up temples, speaking on the ideas and philosophies of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said he'll start his speech with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us or says. So he amplified the messenger as well as the message, and he helped open a whole bunch of temples throughout the nation for the Nation of Islam. Really, the golden era of the Nation of Islam was when Malcolm dedicated 12 or 13 years of his life to growing that institution. So Malcolm was a master organizer as well as a master communicator. So Malcolm will organize locally to educate the people at the local level about the issues they are facing. So it would not necessarily be important at this point, if you get banned from social media, it's more important that you be accessible in your local facilities, in your local area. So Malcolm would, maybe meet at a church or a temple or somewhere with the people, create political classes in general about different subject matters and topics to empower the masses, because it's not really about you having a large army. You just need to have a small group of committed people to do the work. It's like also who came out of Temple Number 7 under Malcolm was brother Clarence 13X, Father A.L.L, the founder of the 5%ers, the 5% Nation. In that ideology, they teach you that 85% of the world is dumb, deaf, and blind, right? They're sheeple. They don't know how to think for themselves or to do for themselves or to be accountable for themselves. Then you got 10% who are the gatekeepers. They know the information, but they're not willing to share with the masses because they don't want the masses to be empowered. So then you left the 5%, the so-called poor righteous teachers, the people who know the truth about what's going on in the world and who are willing to sacrifice their own comfort to get the information out to try to empower segments of the masses. They're trying to give the masses free will and knowledge of self. So you have that. So that Temple Number 7 was a very powerful place in Harlem. And like I said, Malcolm X was a master teacher in his own right. He basically groomed Minister Farrakhan and some other folks. So, with that said, Malcolm said, well, I don't need my Facebook fan page. I just go out there and connect with the people. That's what Malcolm was doing anyway. Like I said, he was a master organizer. I mean, I met a sister, Mama Colette, from St. Louis. She used to live in Harlem back in the 50s and I believe the 60s. And she said that she would always pass by Brother Malcolm on the corner, like 125th and all that stuff, where it's Lenox Avenue, where it's now Malcolm X Boulevard. He would always be on that corner speaking to the people. Basically this, stomping, speaking to the people, talking about the white man, talking about racism, talking about, the plight of black people and all this other stuff. And so she would just pass every day on the way to and from the subway, hearing Brother Malcolm, not paying him no mind. And then one day something traumatic happened to her. And as she was passing Brother Malcolm on her way to wherever she was going, what he'd been saying for so many days and months finally resonated with her. And see, that's what it takes. It takes commitment, because a lot of times you look at social media, people buy subscribers. But Malcolm wasn't trying to, buy anybody. He was trying to sell them. He was trying to find the believers. It's like when you go fishing, a fisherman would not take every fish home. Sometimes you got to throw some of the fishes back. It might not meet your specifications or your standards. You don't. When a fisherman fish, he don't fish to take all the fishes from the ocean or from the lake home or from the river home. You're looking for a particular fish, and you keep those fish. So Malcolm was a fisher among people. He didn't try to get all the black people. He was trying to get some of the black people. He was trying to reach certain types of black people. And it goes back when I tell people, get with your tribe. Start your tribe. Get with your people. All your people that skin folk ain't kin folk, and all your kin folk ain't your skin people. They're not your people. You understand? A lot of us too busy trying to make all black people agree with us on certain ideas and topics and in certain situations. That's not realistic. All white folks don't agree on everything, but they do have certain codes and rules and a culture that they go by when it comes to dealing with among themselves, and especially when it comes to dealing with so-called black people. So what I'm saying is, so what? It get banned from so-called social media. Humanity has been around longer than so-called social media. Our ability to communicate has been around longer than so-called social media. And I will argue that a lot of times I believe that social media actually alienate people from each other, as well as program people to all think alike. It's kind of like an MK Ultra project. It's not kind of, it is an MK Ultra project when you understand that our information is still controlled by so-called U.S. intelligence. When they got you saying that, well, they say like, well, 5 or 6 corporations control 95% of the media. How's that freedom of speech or freedom of expression or free will when 95% of our information, of our media narrative is controlled by 5 or 6 corporations who are controlled by special interests? Y'all like to call them the Illuminati. Some people call them the powers that be, the man, or whatever. It is what it is. But look up Operation Mockingbird, where it's been exposed. The CIA has for decades controlled media outlets. I'm talking about major media outlets. Okay, so social media is basically a U.S. intelligence project. Like the internet was created out of U.S. intelligence military industry complex. I'm not gonna break all that down to y'all. I'm throwing stuff out. My thing is, I'm fishing too. I'm just throwing things out there. It's up to y'all to y'all can Google stuff and also do y'all own research. But I'm not trying to make no several hour podcast. But anyway, Brother Malcolm would definitely get back to the grassroots. He will organize among the people, and he'll try to fish for certain type of people to build his organization, to build an infrastructure. Brother Malcolm would be the one that would actually try to start his own legitimate social media apparatus. And Mr. Farrakhan, my thing is amazing because he also had a documentary coming out that was initially going to come out on Netflix, and then Netflix backpedaled, so the documentary never came out on Netflix. But his influence, and he has an organization. He should have been had a social media platform that they created. You know, if you are truly a nation, you should have the ability to control your own nation's message, narrative. Brother Malcolm started Muhammad Speaks. I mean, he didn't have no grants from the government or whatnot. He started it because it needed to be done, and it grew, and it helped get the message out to the people about the Nation of Islam. They was able to counter whatever the media, the so-called corporate American media, was putting out about the nation with their own platform, and that's so important. No matter how small the platform, people should have options to learn about all subject matters from different points of view. So Brother Malcolm was smart, and I think in this day and age, Brother Malcolm would have utilized some of our people among us who know how to code, do HTML, all that stuff. Malcolm had the charisma because, at the end of his life, he had two organizations that he founded, Muslim Mosque Inc. and also the Organization of Afro-American Unity. So he had a religious organization for the folks who followed him out the Nation of Islam, the Muslim Mosque Inc. But also he had sort of like a secular organization where black folks who were not Muslims, who did not share the same faith as Malcolm, but who wanted to help empower and liberate black folks, could utilize their talents under that organization. The only thing Malcolm did not have was time. He did not have time to fully put things in place to make sure that his organization would survive his very powerful and engaging personality. It's like even with the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam is very dependent on the charisma and the presence of a Minister Louis Farrakhan. Because, we know of certain people, student teachers, whatever they call themselves in the nation, that have followings, but who will be the one to succeed Farrakhan? Who has that charisma and that staying power and the intelligence and the oratorical brilliance of Farrakhan to keep their organization running? It goes back to what Dr. John Henry Clark said before. He said, you got to bury the man and continue to plan that your organization should not fall apart or should not be based upon the health or the endurance of one person. So who is the person beyond Farrakhan that's going to carry the nation? I mean, Farrakhan is 86 years old. Farrakhan could live for maybe 20 more years. I don't know. He could outlive a lot of people. But what that said, can the message survive the messenger? And can it actually become a nation? Can the message be built upon to become a nation? Because my thing is, the minister has taught for 60 plus years, have given some great speeches over the years. He did a lot of his work. He did the work. I mean, he planted the seeds in the minds of the masses. The Nation of Islam has helped rehabilitate it and save folks who were thrown away by Western society. So with that said, they've been doing some amazing God work for decades. They've been consistent. You look at the record, the excellence they had over the years. Everything has pros and cons, but what I'm saying is Brother Malcolm would utilize people right now to start his own social media platform. Brother Malcolm was type of cat, people forget Brother Malcolm died before King, but he was already ahead of the curve in terms of what King was trying to do. At the end, Brother Malcolm had a relationship with some of our countries in Africa. He had a working relationship with some African nations. And I could see a Brother Malcolm like him would have utilized somebody like Gaddafi for resources to start his own social media platform, his independent social media platform. And that's why Malcolm X was such a threat, because he had great relationships with certain countries in Africa to try to utilize a connection and also get resources to cut out the so-called middleman of corporate America of the multinational corporations and do directly business with the motherland. He was already thinking about business and stuff. Like Dr. King just got around to that towards the end. You look at his last speech he did in Memphis about boycotting places like Wonder Bread, Coca-Cola, Harsh Bread, places that will take your money but not give you jobs and invest back in your community. He was talking about investing in black banks and insurance companies. But Brother Malcolm was already on that tip, not only at the national level, but at the international level. Look at some of the stuff that, with Akon trying to build his own Wakanda, right, over in Africa. Akon, right? People say he getting money from the Chinese, $1 billion line of credit, whatever. But Brother Malcolm said this, and this is what Negroes are afraid of. Brother Malcolm said, by any means necessary. It's not about the means, it's really about the ends. What's the end game? And a lot of folks, I mean, it's funny people say that, then they say, well, I don't mean by any means necessary. But Brother Malcolm's just like John Brown. Both of these guys are Tauruses, both of them born in May. John Brown was born in May 9th, 1800. Brother Malcolm was born May 19th, 1925. Both these guys were Tauruses. I'm a Taurus myself. By any means necessary means by any means necessary. And it's really about that action. You know, like I said, Mr. Farrakhan been talking and teaching for 60 plus years. Now it's about that action. And like Biggie said, who was born May 24th, I believe Biggie was May 22nd or May 24th for Biggie, said bad boys move from silence and violence. Stop talking about everything. And that's a good thing. Maybe we need to stop giving away the store on social media. We talk too much and we never shut up. Everybody's talking, giving away everything. Information that we giving out on social media, they used to have to torture people. They used to have to torture people for this information that people give away so freely on social media. Tell everybody everything about you. Ain't no mystery, ain't no intrigue. But I think a brother like Brother Malcolm would have wisely used social media. He was a master at understanding how to control and influence media. He understood the power of that. So Brother Malcolm definitely would have been started his own social media platform by now if he was around. I believe that. I really do believe that. Brother Malcolm already had his own media. He would have had a network. All this stuff already set in place because he overstood the value of controlling your narrative. A lot of us in this period, we react. You know, they show you a clip of a woman like Pamela Turner getting killed down in Texas. Yeah, like this stuff is just happening. This is a new phenomenon. Pamela Turner, Mary Turner. Y'all know who Mary Turner was. They lynched her. She was pregnant, and they basically ripped the baby out her body. And y'all talking about abortion bans and all this other stuff. Nothing new, people. Nothing new. But a lot of y'all, I mean, we desensitized, and then we be distracted so much. Like, go back what Judge Brown be saying. When Caesar said about bread and circuses, give them bread and circuses, they won't complain. They'll be too distracted on their way to their downfall. They won't even notice they're falling. The people won't even notice that they're falling or failing. So yeah, I think people should really, if you are a fan of Brother Malcolm, study his speeches, Prospects for Freedom, like one of his last speeches he gave. I think he gave that in 65, Message to a Grassroots, Ballot or the Bullet. A lot of y'all be so hard pressed to vote for Democrats, Joe Biden. Y'all talking about, well, he's the author of the crime bill. Don't y'all know that the Democrats created the Ku Klux Klan? Nathan Bedford Forrest, the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, Nathan Bedford Forrest, was a proud Democrat. He was a notorious slave trader and war criminal, as well as a prominent Democrat. He was a delegate at the 1868 Democratic Convention. He lived in Memphis. The people just took down his statue in Memphis. He's still, buried in the same spot. And also there's a city across the river in Arkansas called Forest City that he founded and named after himself, which is also the birthplace of R&B legend Al Green. And also in the state of Tennessee, there's a state park named Nathan Bedford Forrest Park. I think it was named that back in the 1930s during the Great Depression. But it's a 2,500 plus acre state park named under Nathan Bedford Forrest. See, we got to stop this, these pirate victories, man, because, taking down statues ain't terrorizing you. It's these so-called statute of limitations on certain things like hate crimes that's really terrorizing us. The lack of proper education as it relates to knowledge of self is terrorizing us. But we got to get back on track. But also the founder of the Klan, Albert Pike, who also was a Memphian back in the 1860s. He was the leader of the Democratic Party of Shelby County. He founded the Klan, and he was a Democrat. So none of these folks are your friends. Stop feeling the need you got to vote just because people tell you need to vote. You have the right not to vote. It is your right to do what you want to do. You should have the right to free will. It's like we messed up. We started thinking about integration when it should have been about desegregation. Desegregate means desegregate. Integration means you're going to force me into a situation where I'm not comfortable, where I don't feel like I fit in. It's like Black folks just want the right to be able to go to the restroom at the gas station because they're customers. They have a right to go wherever any restaurant you want to go to because you're a customer. You're a paying customer. It's all about having the right to do things versus being limited because of something called based on the color of your skin. So this is what this was all about. We should have been about desegregation, not integration. Because you force school busing. School knowledge of self is the foundation of any true educational pursuit. The truth be told, some of the best schools in the country during Jim Crow were black schools. Y'all can research this, take a look, it's all online. Research it on your own. Some of the best schools in the nation were black schools. Where black kids got knowledge of self from teachers that looked like us, or that looked like us back in the day, who understood our struggle, came from our same background. Now you got kids, privileged kids going through Teach for America, going to these downtrodden inner city communities, schools and whatnot, not really understanding said community or the children, getting burnt out and moving on. Or to me, it should be some of your best teachers going to those type of schools in those type of communities, not your inexperienced novice teachers. Like the kids are not getting what they need to get in order to reach their fullest potential under those situations. But the system is not broken. The system is meant to break people. So it's not a broken system. It's a breaker system. It's meant to break people, certain type of people. So we got to understand it or overstand that rather, but we don't study history. So we should have been about desegregation. Linda Brown, y'all think Brown v. Board was about dilapidated schools. Linda Brown school. The problem was with Linda Brown, she wanted to go to a school closer to her home. The black school she was going to was not a bad school. It's just so happened that the predominantly white, the so-called whites only school was closer to her home. So this is about convenience. Then ironically, you had black students being shipped from their neighborhood schools, some of them pretty decent neighborhood schools, to white schools where they were treated like aliens from another planet, despised, spit upon. You think about, you got white teachers that don't understand you. You got people that hate you teaching you how or training you in their system. I'm just now discovering the genius of Dr. Bobby Wright. Bobby Wright, just look him up. He was a psychologist, also was a teacher of the late great Chairman Fred Hampton Sr., the leader of the Black Panther Party in Chicago, who was assassinated by the state at the age of 21. It was a state assassination. Assassinated on December 4th, 1969, Thursday morning, in his sleep, next to his pregnant fiancee, who's just 21 years old. But Dr. Bobby Wright was one of his teachers. And Dr. Bobby Wright, he basically said that black people should be teaching white people. And the only thing basically white people are qualified for is to train us in how to navigate this system. But black folks should be teaching black folks and even white people about who we are. And a lot of our people do not know who they are. You look at, just went to a couple graduations, graduation season. You got these young people who graduate from high school. A lot of them were not fully appreciated while they were in school because they didn't understand who they were, and the people that was teaching them did not understand who they were. And so they were not getting that from home either because a lot of their parents don't know who they are. So I'm thinking about myself, what if a lot of us knew who we were earlier? How would it affect us in terms of our life trajectory going forward? And Brother Malcolm, think about it. Brother Malcolm wanted to be a lawyer, but he was the class president, was a top student in his grade, in his 8th grade class. And what did the white teacher tell him? Malcolm said he want to be a lawyer. The white teacher told him, Malcolm, niggers can't be lawyer. Be a carpenter. Jesus was a carpenter, Malcolm. Well, there you go. Jesus was black. He said niggas can't be lawyers, but niggas could be carpenters, so Jesus was a black man. So that solves it. But Brother Malcolm, that affected him. He ended up, dropping out of school, getting into a life of crime, going to prison. Eventually was saved by religion, but prison gave him a time to slow down and to start learning things, like reading the dictionary, from back and forth. read the entire dictionary, reading books, becoming part of the prison debate teams, things of that nature. He started understanding his abilities, but instead of him going to Harvard, he had to go to jail. He didn't go to Yale, he went to jail. But he used the most of the time, for about 7 years almost spent in jail, to become educated, to graduate to the next level, because Malcolm was one of the top speakers in the nation back in the 50s and 60s. He was more popular on the Harvard campus than President Kennedy, JFK, who went to Harvard. Malcolm X was more in demand. I mean, he would debate everybody, debate some of the top scholars, debate teams, intellectuals on the scene. He would constantly win, or he would battle them to a draw. Malcolm was brilliant. It's brilliant, but all black folks got their potential, but you in a system that's trying to break you. Since slavery, it's not a broken system, it's a breaker system. It's trying to break your spirit. And Brother Malcolm was able to survive that, and it made him dangerous. He was so resilient. He understood the value of having your own platform to communicate your ideas and to organize. So that's what Brother Malcolm would do. Like I said, he would start his own stuff, not care about how much money. Is all about connecting with the people. So, and I could talk about Brother Malcolm all day, but I just want to give you an idea what I'm thinking about. Mr. Farrakhan, y'all got the emotional response. You in their house, when somebody say their house rules, wash your hands. When you take a shit, take off your shoes at the front door. If you don't obey the rules, they got a right to kick you out. They got the right to kick you out of their home. So Instagram is not my home. Facebook is not my home. YouTube is not my home. And what we do is, we always say we need to build our own, but yet a lot of us don't believe in ourselves to really make our own. We still need validation from the so-called white system. And it's not white supremacy, it's white hypocrisy. I'm not going to call it white supremacy no more. It's hypocrisy, because they don't even abide by their own rules when it comes to black people. Like they want to bend the rules, even break the rules, or not acknowledge the rules when it comes to dealing with so-called black people. And we got to stop, as black people, legitimizing what they do to us or don't do for us. We got to stop legitimizing that. We got to stop legitimizing it. It's ridiculous, because that's insanity. That's insanity. Keep on doing the same thing and expecting different results in that situation. Now, when Charlie Parker practiced for 15 hours a day for 4 years, that's not insanity. That's commitment. That's genius. That's brilliance. That's manifestation. That's belief in yourself. We got to start getting back to that discipline and knowing that we can achieve all that we think and conceive. We can manifest it. If we can believe it, we can achieve it. We got to get back to that. We got to teach our children that. But, yeah, when in doubt, think about the righteous ancestors and what they would do in this situation. Think about what Ida B. Wells Barnett will be doing right now in the so-called social media age. Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was able to galvanize millions of black folks throughout the diaspora without frequent use of the radio, which was the social media of that era. He didn't have no TV show. This is before TV. But Brother Marcus was able to galvanize the imagination of millions of black folks through the spoken and written word. And he was able to disseminate that because he had his own media apparatus. So we got to start thinking like that. Play the right game. If we understand the rules, a lot of us are in the game, we don't understand how to play or win. A lot of us like to say things or do things that make us feel good, but not necessarily will be good for us in the long run in terms of empirical results. Your mind is a powerful tool. Your will is a powerful tool. So, yeah, that's just my rant. And like I said, Minister, job well done. You ran a great race. I look forward to hearing anything that we get from Mr. Farrakhan now is just a bonus. But at the same time, use some of his teachings, his lessons, and actually try to apply what you can use to your life. Actually try to make it happen. Just don't, a lot of y'all was mad when he didn't speak at Aretha's funeral and why they don't let the minister speak. I said, I heard the minister. I traveled. I heard the minister speak in person on several occasions. They just don't want me to meet with the minister for whatever reason. But, how many, it's like what the sister Ali, Shahrazad Ali said, how many hidden colors do you need for Tariq Nasheed to make before you get the message? That it's time for us to do what our ancestors have always done which is be about that action, believe in yourself, and make it happen, and be willing to put your life on the line for what you want. How many video documentaries, how many this and that speeches do we need to hear before we get that message? Thank you, family. If you like the words of the brother Herb, please spread the word. Please subscribe and let others know to subscribe to our We All Be TV channel on YouTube. That's We All Be TV. Please feel free to support the movement. You can make a one-time or recurring donation. We have our Cash App. That's R2C2H2. That's R2C2H2 for our Cash App. We got Google Pay and PayPal. Our email for that is r2c2h2@gmail.com. Once again, that's r2c2h2@gmail.com. You can also buy artivist art at r2c2h2.com. Once again, that's r2c2h2.com. Got a $5 for $50 deal. You can buy 5 art prints for $50 or $20 for a single print. Also, we got t-shirts on sale. You go wear Artivist art. Teespring.com official storefront. You'll see all that in the shelf below the description box. Some of our t-shirts on sale. Thank you once again, family, for supporting us. You become a patron at patreon.com/weallbe. That's patreon.com/weallbe. And thank you once again, family, for supporting us, and so we can support you all. In the words of the great Duke, we love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing. Peace.